Elemental marks the 27th Pixar film, so today let's rank them all from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name's Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Leave your ranking down below. How would you rank all 27 Pixar films, including the latest one, Elemental? Coming in last place is Cars 2. I wasn't in love with the first Cars film, and when you take a sequel and you take the most obnoxious character and put him at the front of the film and then sideline your main character, Lightning McQueen, and then get rid of all of the racing aspects too and make it a spy thriller, just does not work. This is a film that has a really stupid story with obnoxious characters at the front of the movie with a lot of jokes that just do not land. Coming in at number 26 is Turning Red. I really don't care much for Turning Red. I don't like our main character. The story between her and her mother is not as developed as I think it should be. There are a lot of moments within here that try to have this depth given to our main character and her mother, and it just does not work. They try to solve certain problems between the mother and daughter with the worst kind of humor as well, and I just am not able to connect with this story. Glimpses of a deep story and metaphors and all of that within Turning Red, but it just did not work for me. Coming in at number 25 is The Good Dinosaur. There are some moments that I do like within this film. I do like Spot and Arlo in here. They are fun characters, but they don't have a chance to grow as characters and have an understanding, a bond that could be strong within this movie. There are a few jokes here and there that do work, but there are a lot of different characters that are introduced, and it feels like the film is being sidelined with its main story and going all in these different directions, and then trying to wrap up at the end and connect it all and then make it very heartwarming at the end. The journey for the characters don't have any layers given to them. There's no depth given to the story. It's just kind of moving along in one motion and introducing these characters and different dinosaurs. It feels more like a television special rather than a feature-length film with what they're trying to work into the movie. Coming in at number 24 is Cars. I have not really cared for the Cars franchise. Even the best one being Cars 3 is still a mediocre film. But Cars, the first film, really takes a slow down approach once we get Lightning McQueen to Radiator Springs and we have obnoxious characters within this movie. Even Lightning McQueen himself is not that likable of a character. And when we get him into Radiator Springs, the film comes to a halt and slows down immediately, and we have him try to fix the road, and there he's supposed to find himself and get a better understanding of who he is, and I just am not able to connect with that at all. Coming in at number 23 is Cars 3. This takes a little more of a mature approach to it and has a little less of Lightning McQueen, but still, the story for Cars and Cars 3, even Cars 2, this time around, it's kind of boring. And we have him being now like this veteran, and can he get back into racing? He has to kind of work his way up to that. I did appreciate less of Tow Mater in this film, but even then, I think Cars 3 is a fine film. Not the best movie ever, but it certainly doesn't have a story that is able to build a Lightning McQueen in this third film. That maturity for it, it feels very childish at times, and it feels like the tones are just very clashing when they want to be a story focused on Lightning McQueen and him being this veteran and getting back into racing, and then it feels just very obnoxious at times. Coming in at number 22 is Finding Dory. I like Dory as a character, but she didn't have a chance to have a very unique story in Finding Dory. There were moments that I felt were very personal for Dory as she's trying to find her parents, But what worked with Finding Nemo did not work for Finding Dory. And the journey that she goes on to try to remember everything is a story that feels really thin. They're trying to fill the runtime with different characters that she knew in her past, and we have Hank, and it feels like it's delaying the end of the movie. It moves at a slower pace more than I expected it to, but Dory has a chance to shine and be a really fun character. I'm supposed to feel something for her meeting her family as well, and I just do not get that because of the kind of sidelined moments in Finding Dory and all the other characters that are introduced. It just feels like a really thin story that's trying to be stretched out, and by the end of it, I'm just kind of glad it's over. Coming in at number 21 is Brave. I like Brave. I think it has part of the movie a good story. The other half of it feels like it's trying to wrap it up pretty quickly. I like the first half of this movie where Merida is trying to carve out her own path and doesn't want to listen to her parents, and feels like she can stand up for herself. The animation's really good. I like Merida as a character, and then when you have her mother turn into the bear, it feels like a completely different movie, and it's going off in this different direction, and you have magic in it, and it just does not fit the setup for this movie. If the first half of the movie was like the second half, I think it would have been a stronger film. Coming in at number 20 is Bug's Life. I always forget about Bug's Life when it comes to the Pixar movies. There's just something about Bug's Life that I just don't find entertaining. I like the characters. The visuals are good for when it was released. Obviously, things have changed drastically for Pixar. It's one of those movies that I have a hard time explaining why I don't care for it so much. A lot of people have it kind of towards the top of the list, but it's more of a forgettable Pixar movie. Kind of a slower story, characters that are fun, but nothing memorable about this movie, and that's just kind of like the best way I can explain Bug's Life. Coming at number 19 is Monsters University. This was a lot of fun, really capturing the college tone to this movie, and seeing the bond between Mike and Sully grow throughout the movie is really fun. And there are exciting moments for these characters when they are in college, learning about being a scarer and your true potential as well. It doesn't skip on the college aspect to it while having a lot of fun. And so that does mean we have less of a deeper connection to this movie, and that bond is very friendly at times, whereas Monsters Inc. was very strong. And so I do like this movie. It's a lot of fun. There is a lot of entertaining moments within here. The games that they go through adds to the exciting moments for Monsters University, and seeing these characters return and references to Monsters Inc. and the kind of build up as well was really exciting. Coming in at number 18 is Luca. Luca has some adorable moments in here. And seeing our two characters grow throughout this film, the bond that they have feels very personal, and that development is good within this movie. The setting is beautiful. The animation is stunning within this movie. I really like Luca, and the more I watch it, the more I appreciate about this film. The first time I watched this, I said, oh, it's okay movie. It's kind of in the middle half of Pixar. But the more I do watch this movie, the more I do appreciate the story and the personal story for these characters. Coming in at number 17 is Toy Story 4. I still to this day think Toy Story 4 was really unnecessary. But there is a chance for Woody to have a more concluding story. I do think Toy Story 3 was the right send-off for our characters. But we see Woody having these conflicting moments and want something different, and there's that chance for him to grow and have an understanding of what he's going through and that closure for this character. I wish there was more of the other minor Toy Story characters, because I really do like these characters in the Toy Story films, and seeing less of them was a little bit disappointing. But overall, Toy Story 4 did introduce some fun new characters like Forky. I love Forky within this movie. And that and having it be a story more focused on Woody and what he's going through and what he wants was very strong. I do still think to this day that it was a little unnecessary and kind of ruined some aspects to Toy Story 3, and I still like Toy Story 3, but I'm curious what they're going to do with Toy Story 5. But Toy Story 4, with it being a film that felt unnecessary, it was still fun. Coming in at number 16 is Lightyear. I like the story of Buzz Lightyear and having him be a human, and the story that Andy saw and what made him fall in love with Buzz Lightyear. There are moments where you feel like things that will go wrong, so it's delaying the progress of the movie when we have all these new characters that are creating issues for Buzz. It's just like being repetitive. Introduce our other crew members in the film. It feels like it's just delaying the end of the movie and having a lot of repetitive moments and just creating a lot of issues for Buzz to fix. And it's supposed to be exciting, but at a certain point it became obnoxious, and I just kind of wanted to end and more focus on the story. And then the end of the movie I thought was really interesting what they did with Buzz Lightyear. Coming in at number 15 is Elemental. The newest Pixar film is a really lovely story. The setup for it was less focused on the friendship and the relationship that is developing, and more so on individual characters, and so the transition was a little bit jarring, but the animation works, and the story of family legacy and carving out your own path works within this movie, and that love story, how it developed, felt very genuine. I really like the characters in here, the voice acting as well, and the world within it. We have water, land, air, and fire, and the worlds are supposed to coexist, but we see that how the characters are opposite, and characters aren't welcome in certain public places, but overcoming all of that was also a strong aspect of the movie. I really liked Elemental. I thought it was a beautiful story that focused on this love story that was developing throughout, and the characters were fun as well. Coming in at number 14 is Ratatouille. Ratatouille really balances a lot of things. We have Remy and his determination of working with food, and watching Linguini develop as a character. You got romance in it, you got really great voice acting, you got comedy in here as well. Ratatouille is such a fun film. The direction is really good, and having a slower approach to Remy in here and understanding his love for food, and then watching him be able to control the chef adds for some excitement within this movie. But it felt very personal, and the animation and the visuals for France were stunning, and the tone that was set up within here was very sweet and then personal as well. Coming in at number 13 is Wally. Wally is a beautiful story. I love Wally in the beginning of the film. The tone that was set up without utilizing dialogue was very unique, but you felt that loneliness from Wally and just going through the motions, collecting garbage and creating these piles. Then when we have Eve in the movie, the whole movie kind of changes, and we see that excitement for Wally immediately falling in love, and then we have a story that kind of just pushes forward. We have a more developing story towards the end, but the setup was very strong. The tone, the world that is within this movie, Wally, his loneliness, and then they established everything within the first like 20-30 minutes of this movie, and that allowed for the story to go off in these different directions and still feel connected to the character of Wally, what he goes through, throughout the movie. You're on this journey. You appreciate the character because of that strong setup in the beginning and the journey that he goes through. You're right there with him. You're cheering him on. And there are a lot of exciting moments towards the end of the movie. A really fun story. And then also a story that is able to push Wally in this new direction and really test him as well. So Wally, beautifully directed movie, one of the better Pixar films. Coming at number 12 is Onward. Onward had a really emotional connection to this movie, and something that is really relatable. If you could see your father or mother or a loved one for a day, what would you do? How far would you go? And we see that within this movie. And it sticks to that story throughout this movie, that they go on this journey. They go on all these different directions, but they have a purpose. And the purpose is very strong within this movie. And it leads to a very emotional end of the movie. I like Chris Pratt and Tom Holland in here, and watching the brothers' relationship grow throughout the movie as well. Onward has a magical sense to it. The tone is very strong. The characters are likable, but we have a purpose of it. The journey has a reasoning for it all, and it leads to that strong end of the movie. Coming in at number 11 is Coco. Coco is all about family, but it's done in the most meaningful way possible. Miguel is such a fun character. He wants to know more about his family, and the film is able to give him all of the moments that he wants in this movie. But there are those personal moments to it, emotional scenes towards the end of the movie. But I love how it's just so focused on family and what family means to you, and watching that grow throughout the film. His love for his family, and watching him understand everybody and what his family has gone through makes it for one of the most personal Pixar films. It's also got some great music as well, really elevating the emotional scenes throughout the movie. We're able to tell the story and develop the emotional scenes through the use of song. And we have a villain in here that weak part of the story, but nonetheless, Coco. I love the focus on family. The songs work. Miguel is so fun in here. One of the better developed characters in Pixar. Coming at number 10 is Soul. Soul is one of the more deeper Pixar films, looking at your purpose in life and you chasing your dreams, and what you absolutely love may not be your purpose in life. And so we have Joe Gardner, voiced by Jamie Foxx, and 22, voiced by Tina Fey, and watching them try to understand their purpose and have a reason for living in all of that really adds for some of the most gut-punching moments in Pixar history. But we see that journey that they go through, and it's all for them. It's all for them trying to find their purpose, so that they have that reason to live and the reason to go on. And I think that there are some themes and storylines that, not that kids shouldn't watch, but they might have a hard time understanding it all. It's a very mature movie that does implement some humor, but in the meaningful way. Very emotional film, but is one of the best Pixar movies. Coming at number 9 is Incredibles 2. This is a strong sequel that at times does match the tone of the original film. It's one of the better animated sequels I have seen, continuing right off of that first film. We're still able to capture the charm of that original film. And having Jack with his abilities is so adorable in here. And the family is still very strong. We have the mother in here who goes off and is able to be a superhero, and seeing how excited she is puts Bob Parr in this whole new kind of situation, and watching him take care of the family only strengthens the group. And then we have a bunch of new superheroes that were fun as well. A really menacing villain, but I love that they were able to capture that same charm from the original film with its comedy, with its action, with the strong family bond that they have, while also adding some new elements as well. And more of Jack Jack is exactly what I wanted. It's absolutely adorable. Coming in at number 8 is Inside Out. This film is able to balance so many different feelings and emotions throughout. And that's the purpose of it. Moments that can be sad, and moments that could be exciting, and it's just kind of all over the place because you are looking at the emotions of this young girl. When you focus on only certain emotions like joy and sadness, the movie is going to be sad, the movie is going to be happy and joyful throughout, and it's really smart. This is a brilliant written film that is able to balance all these different emotions, giving us those emotional scenes for Riley and all of the emotions that they have throughout, but then also exciting moments as well when you look at all 5 of the feelings that Riley experiences throughout. Everything about this movie, from the emotions that are inside Riley's head to the journey that they go on, is very unique. Coming at number 7 is Up. Up started off very strong, immediately having some strong emotions for our characters and setting up Carl's story. And then that led to everything that happens in this movie has a purpose and a meaning for Carl. If it's something that's very bizarre and doesn't not make sense at all, it's for Carl and no one else. And that strong setup allowed for all that to happen, and you just go along with it because it means something to him. And even in the beginning of the film, you're crying immediately. In the beginning of the movie, you're crying immediately, but then you want everything to happen for Carl. Even if the film does get very bizarre, there are some adorable moments in here. Doug is one of the coolest Pixar characters, but I love the progression of the story and how sweet this movie is and what it means to Carl. Coming in at number 6 is Toy Story 2. I like that this film was able to build the characters individually, where that first film we had to work the characters as a group, but we have Buzz doing his own thing and Woody doing his own thing, and we get an understanding of these characters. Having Jesse and Bullseye introduced in here was so fun. The story works for development for these characters, and watching Buzz become like this leader in the second film, and then watching Woody understand his past, there's enough development for both sides of the movie to make you feel to make you invested in both parts of the movie. The animation is improved on the second film. The characters are still a lot of fun. This is a franchise that I absolutely love. I love having Jessie in here. She immediately is able to connect with Woody. Bullseye is adorable. Prospector is fun as well. We're focused on having them be toys and watching them navigate throughout the city. It's a lot of fun. I love Toy Story 2. Not as strong as the first film and the third film, but still a really fun sequel. Coming in at number 5 is The Incredibles. This film focuses on family and has a really strong superhero vibe to it. Each character is really exciting, but when they get together, it feels action-packed and epic. Watching Bob Parr struggle with being a father and a husband and still wanting to be a superhero, it's a relatable story, and watching him trying to overcome all that and relive his glory days and still trying to be that father and husband is a very strong story. And then we're able to bring in the other family members and connect them as well, and that's where the film becomes the best it could be, is when they're all together utilizing their abilities. This film is hilarious, it's action packed, it's emotional as well, has that very strong family bond throughout the movie, and watching the young characters Dash and Violet grow as well and understanding their abilities. This is one of the best Pixar films, one of the best superhero movies as well, and I absolutely love the development of this family and watching Bob Parr go through all of the struggles and how he's able to overcome them. Coming in at number 4 is Monsters, Inc. Mike and Sully are one of the most iconic pairings in Pixar history. This is a film that I grew up loving, and to this day I still really love this movie. The business aspect to it is very strong as well. Watching the ins and outs of Monsters, Inc. is a nice approach to this movie, but Boo is absolutely adorable, and how the characters are frightened of her, but then understand humans as well. I love that part of Monsters, Inc. We don't forget the characters and the relationship. It grows throughout the movie. It's tested throughout. But Boo is implemented in the right time, and then she's very cute, and then challenges the whole city as well. And so I love that progression of the story for Boo and Mike and Sully, and their connection that they have with her, and how protective they are. It brings out this new side of Mike and Sully when you think of these monsters that are wanting to scare children, and they really break these characters down, and it adds depth to them and new layers that you really do appreciate. Monsters, Inc. still to this day one of the best Pixar films. Coming in at number 3 is Finding Nemo. I love the journey of Marlin trying to find his son Nemo. He will go to the end of the ocean to find his son, and it creates a very personal story for Finding Nemo. The score as well elevates some of the emotional scenes and the more subtle moments of the ocean. Dory is so likable, and her journey with Marlin and forgetting everything creates a lot of issues throughout the movie, but we still see Marlin push through it all to find his son. And then when you have Nemo in the fish tank, you can't forget all about those scenes. Those are exciting moments as well. Really entertaining scenes with all of the fish that are in the fish tank. But just that journey that Marlin will go through to find his son is very endearing and personal for him, and I've always loved watching Finding Nemo. A lot of fun moments with the sharks, all of the sea creatures that Marlin encounters throughout the film. It just shows the love that Marlin has for his son Nemo, and it's very sweet. Coming in at number 2 is Toy Story, the first Pixar movie. I love Woody as a character and Buzz as well. Completely opposite characters that hate each other at first, but then we see them grow and understand each other, and they're there for Andy. The animation has improved significantly for Pixar, but for this first film, it looks really good. And watching these characters grow throughout the movie and all the other toys as well, it's a fun story with a love for the characters and watching them grow, and just really appreciating the depth given to both Woody and Buzz, and then having them be there for each other towards the end of the movie because they're there for Andy. And just immediately right off the bat, you understand why they are the most iconic animated characters of all time. And Tom Hanks and Tim Allen are perfect in their roles. When we have understanding of these characters kind of towards the end of it all, Tim Allen and Tom Hanks are there to deliver some emotional, personal moments to these characters. But Toy Story started off this franchise in the best way possible with some of the most likable characters and the most iconic scenes in Pixar history. But coming in at number 1 is Toy Story 3. This film, I think, wrapped up the story very well. Strong ending to the movie. And some new characters as well, like Lotso, that I absolutely love, even if it was the villain. But you felt that deep connection to the story and where they are at in this movie, and how Woody is still there for Andy, even though Andy is going off to college, and all the other characters kind of realize that things have changed. And so it creates these implications throughout the movie, and watching these characters struggle to connect, but also realize their position in all of this. Like I said, beautiful ending to this movie. Very strong. One of the most emotional scenes in movie history for me. A couple times at the end of this movie, but you do feel that love that Woody has for Andy, and him realizing his purpose in all of this, and then Buzz trying to be there for Woody, but also realizing things need to change as well. So very strong story, a very mature story about letting go and understanding your purpose in the world. Animation, once again, is really great. The new additions to like Ken and Barbie are exciting as well. Toy Story 3 gave me everything I would want for a trilogy. That's why I really feel like Toy Story 4 was unnecessary, but I'll always hold Toy Story 3 close to my heart. So there you guys have it, all 27 Pixar movies ranked worst to best. How would you rank them? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming ranking videos like this. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.